And we are live, hopefully. We're joining this stream. Welcome to the pit lane here in London ahead of the Formula E race, the season finale this weekend for the all-electric single-seater championship. And you are joining me, believe it or not, in the pit lane. Yes, I know what you're thinking. You're inside. How could we possibly be in a pit lane? But that is what Formula E is all about. And this London E-Prix, as we call it, season finale, where this whole season comes to a close. And we will announce, or the driver who wins the championship will win it this weekend. And potentially could be coming from one of these garages. Interesting. Now, we've got a lot to cover in this stream. We're going to be going through some exclusives. We'll be showing you the behind-the-scenes tour of this garage and all the access to the things that people don't get to see. Like I said, it's going to be very exclusive. But we know why you're all here. It's because of the special guest that's joining me. I'm Saunders CB, and I'm now going to pull in that special guest. It's Mr. Aidan Gallagher. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Good, glad to hear it. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I'm not sure, I know there are thousands of very excited people on this stream who are looking forward to chatting with you via the medium of live streams.
It's a wonderful thing.
So talk to me about your experience here, because you're here for Formula E. You've been to a Formula E race before, but not the London race, not this indoor-outdoor
New York.
setup. Yes.
Brooklyn, yeah.
So how was that experience to begin with?
Oh, it was fantastic. I remember it being incredibly exhilarating. I went in the safety car, which is basically like just almost full speed around the track for someone who's never been in something like that, and it takes you aback.
And then now, you know, we're just over a year later. This is the season finale. This is where it all comes to a close, and we're doing it in a track which is half indoors, half outdoors. What do you make of it?
I think it's amazing and gigantic. It quite reminds me of this place called MB2, which I used to race at a bunch when I was doing like little go-kart racing, except like 20 times bigger. I don't know if you guys are able to see it in the stream, but this place is massive. I mean, it's very cool to see them working on the cars back there, but my goodness, it's very exciting to be here.
It is exciting.
Energy in the air.
Never gets
as cheesy
old.
as it sounds, it's real.
I like that. I might use that this weekend. That's good. Energy in the air. And if you are noticing the sort of change of lights, that's because within this indoor setup, there's all these crazy light shows that we'll be doing ahead of the race. We really take advantage of being inside here.
Yeah.
And it looks epic. So if you,
in fact, we got Diplo for the whole thing. It's going to be great.
It's a big show, whole big show. Now, we know that there have been a lot of questions that have already been submitted for Aidan, for the team, and we will be getting to those in this stream, so don't you worry about that. You know your questions are going to be read out, but also if you haven't already submitted a question, there is still plenty of chance to do that, and that's by getting into the chat on the stream and just filling it with your questions. What do you want to know about Formula E? What would you like to ask Aidan? What would you like to know about cars, drivers, everything? There is so much we can talk about, and you are getting a first-hand, exclusive, live look at the Envision Racing team at a Formula E race event. It's very exciting, and there's I imagine. What would you say? That we know that there's thousands of people on the stream here, big fans.
Have
of
you
yours.
seen the comment section? It's just.
I can imagine. How does it feel doing events like this? Because this is a really good way to have like a live connection with fans, right?
Just like this stream or the race in general?
Like streams like this in general, just like it's a very digital way to have a connection with fans.
It feels incredibly sort of lively and energetic, and yeah, it's especially when you see the comments and you just see that going, you're like, oh my goodness, everyone's sort of in the same experience.
Sure.
But yeah, it's very cool.
It's a great
I wish I could look at all the comments right now, but you're going to read them out later.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've got a live connection to the comments on this iPad. So as you write them, I will see them come in at the bottom, and we will select some, and we'll go through that later on in the stream. And anyone that submitted ones beforehand, we'll be getting to those as well. Firstly, you know what I've been impressed by the most is the globality of the questions, how international this is. We've got questions from South America, from Europe, from Central America, from Russia, Ukraine, Brazil. I mean, it's so international, the questions. I love it.
It's fantastic.
So I think we could do a great thing now. We could bring in a Formula E driver, which is
we should.
A pretty cool thing to be able to say. We have Sebastian Buemi from the Envision Racing team ready to join this stream. He's going to be popping in just a second, and we can ask him anything about Formula E, about the championship. Yeah, Seb, come and join us. You stand there next to Aidan. Good to see you. How are things, Seb?
Did you?
Yeah, very good. I mean, it goes without saying, this is a pretty special weekend for Formula E and for the Envision team. Season finale here in London. How are you feeling?
Feeling good so far. Obviously, it's a double header. It's the last race of the season, and we're leading the team championship, so of course, we'll do everything we can to score as many points as we can. And also Nick still got a good chance at winning the team championship, the drivers' championship. So yeah, it's going to be a big weekend.
So we have a super unique venue here in London. It really doesn't, there's nothing like it in any motorsport as far as I'm concerned. What's it like for you as a driver?
It's kind of special, obviously, as you can imagine. We are indoor-outdoor, so the start is kind of different to what we're used to with the lights. But I think it's quite interesting. The track is quite narrow, so it's difficult to overtake. Easy to do a mistake and obviously hit a wall. But I think the races have been quite interesting in the past, so we'll see. The circuit has been slightly modified in the last sector, so we'll see if it makes better racing.
So for those that are watching that might be new to Formula E, you're joining at a great time because we've got a really exciting season finale ahead where Envision have a really important role to play, not just in the team's championship, not just in the drivers' championship, but in the team's championship as well. What are you expecting from this weekend, Seb? Yeah,
so we lead that championship with 14 points. Obviously, there are still lots of points up for grabs, so we need to do well. So we'll do the best we can. Obviously, we've been preparing well in the simulator at the start of the week. Tomorrow we have free practice, so clearly we'll try to get prepared properly, and then qualifying will be important because it's difficult to pass here, so we need to start as further up as we can. Yeah.
So Seb just mentioned it then, there is so much racing and track action ahead of us this weekend, starting with a free practice session on tomorrow night on Friday. Then Saturday there's a race, qualifying and a race. Sunday there's a qualifying and a race. And you can head over to the Envision Racing social channels to find out exactly when all that is taking place, so you don't miss any of the action or any of the drama, because as we know in Formula E, Seb, it doesn't matter where you are, there's always drama.
Yeah, exactly. You never know what happens. So up to the last corner, clearly things can change, and we have obviously not much energy to do the whole race, so we'll have to manage that energy well with the battery. It's not going to be easy, and yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Well, we're really looking forward to seeing how you get on. Thank you very much for joining us, Seb, and we'll see you over the weekend. Great stuff there. I mean, it's great, isn't it, that we're connecting an audience potentially new to Formula E straight into the garage, straight into the driver. I mean, I think that one of the things for me that really interests me about Formula E is it connects with so many other things that I'm passionate about sustainability, about doing adversity, climate change, everything like that. And I believe it's the same for you, right? There's a natural link.
Yeah, so the great thing about getting to come and support you guys here is this partnership that we have where for this initiative, Trees with Aidan, Envision is planting a free tree for every climate pledge taken, which is just an amazing opportunity. That it's like you could imagine something like this, but it would be, it's just wonderful that it came to be that anyone can take one of these climate pledges. There are 12. They're very accessible to whichever one you want to take. They're easy to do, free, and essentially we're planting a forest of 170,000 trees so far. So
it's incredibly cool.
Help us get to 1 million. Go to the Envision website, take a pledge.
Absolutely, and there's plenty of pledges available, including a new one about e-waste, and you can head over to envisionracing.com/race against climate change, and you can find out all about the pledges there, and have your pledge if you haven't already. Make it, because like you said, 175,000 and counting, but the target is that golden 1 million, isn't it?
Would be wonderful. We're going to get there.
We're going to get there, and we need your help to do it. So go over to the website, Envision Racing.
We're going to talk more about e-waste on this.
Yeah, should we talk a bit about e-waste?
I mean, it was quite the interest. I don't know if they're going to see the car or not.
Well, if you head over to the Envision Racing social channels this weekend, you will see a special activation they did working with a very talented artist and, who put together a life-size replica of a Formula E car built solely out of e-waste. Now, e-waste is sort of like it's almost a secret subject. We don't talk about it enough, but it is it's so prominent, isn't it?
Well, it's like today's culture. Everybody uses electronics, and when newer electronics come out or those ones fail, people don't really think too much about what they do with it. And there's just so the fact to take home is like by 2030, if we don't stop the e-waste that's going on, there's going to be 75 million tons of e-waste generated annually. So if we don't get to a point where we are in a circular economy and we're not generating any more e-waste, but we're taking these electronic parts, deconstructing them, recycling them, donating them, fixing them if we can so that we don't have to replace the electronics so soon, or if we can recycle them properly and take the rare minerals out of these electronics, then you're into this circular economy thing where, no new e-waste is generated. So it's a major thing to fight and to just be aware of. But yeah, it's like you said, it's like a secret thing. Not many people are aware.
It's a perfect visualization of the old phrase, one person's trash is another person's treasure, right?
Yes.
The circular economy is such an important thing that every industry and every country and whatever you want to call it, entity needs to aim towards, because it doesn't just have environmental sustainability benefits. It's benefits across the board, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we should be aiming for that. And this car, this car built out of e-waste was just an incredible. And you said it earlier. It was symbolic, wasn't it?
Yes, it's one beautiful big piece of symbolism that actually drives down a track. And I took part a little bit in that, so we'll probably see that later on. But yeah, it's just it's a beautiful sort of intriguing eyepiece to go like, oh, why would somebody do that? What is that? And it's objectively beautiful, but also it opens up this conversation about e-waste, which is so important because many people don't know.
Absolutely, and yeah, you summed it up absolutely perfectly. Now,
well, thank you.
We have still lots to come on this stream. We'll, of course, be going to your questions, the ones that have been sent in the weeks up to this, and we'll be going to some live questions from the chat. I'm going to have a quick look now.
What you got on there?
They're coming in.
What you got?
They are coming in. Let's go with one from the chat quickly now, and then we'll move into a little bit of a garage tour, because I think that would be quite cool to show the people watching, right? So Mar Vidal said they would like to know, how do you feel about being a young man who moves masses for good towards caring for the planet?
It's incredibly uplifting. I mainly feel like I'm just lucky to have fallen into this life, if you will, of having this platform and this ability to just talk to so many people at once with such ease. So it's like, if I see something that I think is important, especially on a global scale, that's definitely something that I want to pass on if I can. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job of utilising your voice in the space. We're not just talking about activism, acting, music now I hear as well is going pretty well. Very exciting. I'd like to talk to you more about that later. But we said there was going to be special guests on this stream, and we weren't lying. There's one here. We've had Sebastian Buemi, and now we have Sylvain Filippi, the team boss of Envision Racing. He's just coming back through the garage now. He's going to join us. Hey, Sylvain, let's just get that microphone over to you. There we go. Thank you very much for joining us. How's it going?
Howdy.
Not bad. Bit busy. All good.
I mean, busy is an understatement, because if you're watching the stream, we talked about the importance of this weekend in Formula E. It's the season finale of the World Championship. This weekend, the title, both in the Drivers' and Teams' Championship, will be crowned, and there's very much a potential that you could get both of them if things go well.
Yeah, it would take a lot of stars to align, but really motivated.
So how do you feel going into this weekend? Because it's any season finale is always a big moment for a racing championship. But when you've had such a great season, it must feel that extra bit special.
Yeah, it does. We've been fortunate enough to be in that situation a few times, but this year has been great. Like really, really great performance at pretty much every track. Great partnership with the Jaguar guys next door, and ultimately, just a fantastic package. Drivers, team, car, everything. So, which led to this point. We are here in London, 2 races to go, and the sharp end of the championship. So, really excited. Having said that, I'm making sure my team is, feet on the ground. It's a race like any other race, same amount of points as any other race, and really it's all about tomorrow qualifying well and ultimately scoring many points. So for that, focus on engineering, deliver a really fast car, and that's how we'll get there. There's so many other factors we cannot control. So all we can do is focus on ourselves and deliver the best car possible.
So that's a really interesting thing I'd like to ask you about, is your role as someone that, that manages this team. Going into any race, there's always like preparation and mental thoughts going into it. But going into a season finale when there is so much, not just at stake, but up for grabs, how do you maintain that feeling within the team to not get ahead of yourselves, do the job, etc.?
Yeah. Well, I always joke that if I have too much to do, it means things have gone wrong, right? Like ultimately, if all goes well on race weekends, on the sporting side, I shouldn't have to do too much. I have a fantastic team here on the sporting, technical, everything. It's all working great. So of course there's a team spirit, which we always have anyway. And, you know, it's not our first rodeo. We've done this for 10 years now and more for some people. So yeah, we just look at it. The best way to approach that is to be really focused, extra focus on the job, don't get distracted, and yeah, focus on the car. And then my job as part of that is to also make sure that all the different activities, you know, commercial, marketing, racing, and all of these blend seamlessly, right? So, you know, we're only a small team. It's only 3 days, so there's a lot happening. And it's all about having a smooth running of the day and being well organized, and all this means a good weekend.
Nice. Now, there's one thing that the Envision team do especially well, and that is connect the world of racing with the world of sustainability and environmentalism. You know, it's on your car itself, the race against climate change. What can you tell us just briefly about the connection?
Sure. Well, it started many years ago, pretty much straight after we started the race team, when I was always very bullish about the championship anyway, right? And why we're here and so on. So I'm really passionate about using the platform that Formula E is and use that to go beyond racing. You know, the racing is the great symbol for these amazing electric cars and how amazing this technology is. But ultimately, we can talk about so much more. So Race Against Climate Change is a program that enables us to have amazing people like Aidan and many others who come join us and share that passion and excitement about what a better planet could look like. And the beauty of this is that you have so many subjects to talk about. You have electric mobility, renewable energy, which I'm really passionate about, recycling electrical waste. Like, there's so many key topics that need to be tackled, and so much work to be done on how we're going to solve these problems, how we are going to educate, never patronize, but educate people listening and watching. And ultimately, there aren't many platforms out there that can reach 400 million people every year through the excitement of sport. There's many conferences, there are many people talking about stuff, but there aren't that many places where we can genuinely be really excited about technology and these topics. And that's what we have here. We are merging the passion and excitement of sports with the technology. And I think that's what makes it powerful. I don't know if you agree, but it's
incredibly exciting. Yeah.
That's the whole point of it, really. That's what makes it quite powerful.
The technology is on the forefront of being able to do this at such a high level. Yeah. It's an incredibly exciting thing to watch.
Yeah. You need to create that passion and excitement to take it to the next level.
Yeah,
ultimately.
That's what I think is so impressive about Formula E as a championship, because it isn't just about the passion and the fandom of sport. It isn't just about the technology. It's paving the way for the technology that will also be the solution, as well as talking about the problem. It's both sides of the coin, which is an amazing thing to be able to be part of, right? Great. Well, Sylvain, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
Lovely. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. We'll see you in the weekend. Yeah, enjoy. I'm just going to check that we're okay to go to anyone on the Zoom. We can go to our first question that came in. Let's see who that's from.
Fantastic.
So we are going to go to Daniela Isabel, who's sent a question in from Mexico. Amazing. And we'll let her take it away. Daniela, whenever you're ready.
She's there.
Hi.
I think she might be on a delay.
Take it away whenever you're ready, Daniela.
Thank you. Well, the question is next. How were you when you decided to protect the environment? What were your reasons and why?
Great question. So how old were you when you decided to help the environment, and what were your reasons and why?
Well, I think I was like around 9 years old. I was, I was in the habit of like going surfing and whatnot, and I wanted to go surfing on, it might have been a Friday or a weekend, but I couldn't because it had just rained and all the pollution washed into the ocean. And you can't go surfing then because you risk getting like an eye infection or an ear infection. And as this sort of small kid, I made the connection finally between what I was doing, or more so what my community was doing, and the impact that it was having on the surrounding environment miles away, all the way down to the ocean. So from there, it sort of excited my interest in Googling things, and I was watching documentaries on it, and social media was a new thing, and I started to amass this following on it. So you have these two things. I started learning all this new information, and also I had a platform to share it, so I felt very much responsible in doing so. I felt that I should.
Excellent. Great question, Daniela. Thank you very much. Let's go to our next question. Also from the country of Mexico. This is from Celine Castillo. Yeah, let's go.
So, hi.
Hi.
I think my question is really simple, but Aidan, what measures do you take to take care of the environment?
Well, on a personal level, I've been going strong with Meatless Mondays since 2016, and that was the campaign which sort of kicked off a lot of things for me. And so, like, there's a lot of things that you can do personally. That's one of them, which I've sort of repeated for years and years. But I think probably a bigger impact has been sharing information I've gotten from experts and passing it along to people who happen to pay attention to my social accounts. So that's what I try and do on more of like a daily basis.
Great stuff. And of course, if you...
There's a lot of different ways you can do, like, for example, on the Envision website, there's like 12 different pledges that you can take, all relating to how you can fight the climate crisis. And also in doing so for free, Envision's going to plant a tree. So that's a beautiful way to educate and also take action on an individual level.
And just as a reminder, if you want to get involved with those pledges, it's envisionracing.com/race against climate change. And you can see what pledges are available, take the pledge, join another 127,000 people, which is amazing.
That's why he's the best. He's got the link.
Seamless.
Please go there.
Well, let's do one more question, and then we're going to go for a bit of a garage tour, then we'll come back for other questions. So this is going to be from Lily Jackson from London, local very much to where we are now. Welcome, Lily. Fire away.
Hello.
Hi.
So my question is, how likely do you think it is that we will meet the 2030 deadline for the 17 Sustainable Development Goals? Because I know recently on the news they were talking about the heat waves in Europe in particular, and how the temperature, I think it was about 2.5 degrees hotter than in previous years, and how that's quite high above the kind of trying to get it below 2 degrees that was agreed in the Paris Agreement in 2015.
I think human beings are capable of incredible things, and there's two sides you can sort of take in thinking about something like that. There's sort of a more nihilistic, anxiety-driven side, which is, you know, the devil on my shoulder, who thinks about that sort of thing. And then you have the optimistic side, which is knowing that there are experts who are looking at innovation as a way to find solutions to combat a variety of global crises. And then also there are individuals who care. And we're starting to see more legislature come in on that. That's a big part of it, and something that we got to fight really hard for, because it makes the most impact. But in terms of what I think a mental perspective on that should be is just to do everything you can. Everyone lives through their own eyes, through their own senses. You're only living your life, and you just have to make do with that voice in your head at the end of the night and know that you did your part. You did all you could. And I believe if enough people take up that mindset, we are more than capable of overcoming this. So I've seen a lot of things which inspire me to know that this is definitely something we can fight. And at the same time, I see so much that we do have to overcome. So it's a tough thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And I know you mentioned there about some of the things in the news we've seen recently in certain countries. I mean, that's a visualization of what is to come if we, or be worse if we don't act. So it's further proof and further evidence that we need to do it. And things like this, you know, being able to get the message out there, connecting with other areas that people are passionate about, like sports, like other things, you know, any cultural activity is another way of getting people to resonate with it, right? Yeah. It connects with another part of their life that they have an interest in. It doesn't feel like someone preaching. It then joins on to something they're passionate about.
Well, you know, like I said, everyone's just going about their lives looking through their own eyes. So if you catch them on a subject in which they're interested about, and you then relay that information about whatever message it is simply and in a way which relates to them, I think that's how you best get through to people. But just in terms of excitement, I don't know anyone who wouldn't be excited by racing, especially electric racing, and to see the ferocity of these cars charging down the track with all the same vim and vigor of that of any other racer. Yeah, it's an incredibly exciting thing and definitely a way to grab people's attention.
For sure. And you know what?
I have a follow-up question.
Go on.
Is this mic on? Because I see yours has a light.
I can hear you, so you're good. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
thank
all good.
goodness.
All good.
I was worried.
No, all good. Just to kind of follow in from kind of all those points together, if you want an example of what can happen with people coming together from around the world with their interests, with their expertise, a race team is a really good example of that. What they can achieve when things are massively stacked against them, shared resources, shared expertise to come up with a greater good that works for a purpose. Things like this on a daily basis reinforce me that us as people, as humans, have the ability to do good.
You're going to talk about rebuilding the car?
That is an exact example of it. We saw it in Rome, and it was a great job to turn a car around in a day. But it's that shared passion, interest, expertise from around the world working together for one goal that we can all do. I think we can all learn from many different areas, and motorsport is just one of them.
Yeah.
Great question. Thanks very much, Lily. I think this would be a good time, while there's some activity going on in the garage, to have a little look round. I'm going to pop this down here and come back to it later.
Lead the way, sir.
This is exclusive, so follow us into the garage of the Envision Racing team, and we are going to show you some things. Let's go around this way, because these guys are currently working on that car. So join us in, and we'll have a talk around. So here is the Envision Racing car of Nick Cassidy. Now, this is a driver from New Zealand who currently sits second in the championship. But there are enough points up for grabs this weekend for that to change, and him to leave here on Sunday, top of the championship, with a World Championship title. That is a potential, depending on what happens this weekend. Super exciting. And we can actually get really up close here, and you can see not just the paint job on this car, which, Aidan, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Like, look at
the colors that we have.
The color, it pops. It's amazing.
We have the best colors, yeah.
Come on, get closer. Like, bring these guys right in, because this is exclusive. You don't get this on the TV. This is what we want to bring you into, kind of the.
I love the track plan on the side in there. That's
I know.
great.
It's almost like are they actually using that, like driving a 300 kilometers
I'm
per
sure
hour?
it's like internal cues that at a glance, split second, they know exactly the sort of, they practice these routes and.
Absolutely.
Make sure that they're doing it most efficiently. So
you touched upon it there.
That's great.
That's actually one of the fundamental things about Formula E. Is so much happens.
We can't show the back, right?
Yeah, we have to. This is the sensitive part of the car. We don't want to show that. Let's just focus on me, and we'll walk through here. And actually, I want to talk about the word Envision itself. Is it the Net Zero Tech Partner? Now, Envision are actually one of the companies that make a lot of batteries in electric cars.
Yeah.
Some of the ones that have been really taking the world by storm, that's a lot of Envision technology going into those. So obviously it's a natural partnership for a race team like the Envision race team. Here you go. You get some other exclusive access here. So these are the tyres that these guys race on, these Hankook ion tyres. They're built especially for Formula E in the purpose of sustainability. So they can last for not just an entire race, but entire race weekend. And there's only 2 sets per car available for the entire race weekend. I think they get one more when it's a double header, like we have this week. But yeah, specially built for Formula E to last, because it kind of taps into that ethos of Formula E. Everything needs to be as sustainable as possible, which is cool. What do you think? Up close and personal. Would you drive?
Wonderful. Yeah, it's got a good resonance. I like it.
Right, and then we come back into the kind of the underbelly of
so no sharp objects near that then.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And you can kind of see, now this is all of the helmets for the race engineers. They wear these during a race in case the car needs to come into the pit lane and do some changes, or they wear them in the sessions as well, where they change tyres in between practice laps and things like that. And there's one area I want to show you, actually. And Aidan, come and join me in here.
No goodness. What, the craft shop?
It's this one, actually. Let me see if anyone's in here. This is all right. Come on, Aidan, let's get in here. Let's pretend we're racing drivers for a minute. This is the drivers' room.
Pretend we are.
Exactly. This is where the Formula E drivers of the Envision Racing team will spend pretty much all of their time outside of the car, outside of doing media activities. They will be here chilling out, keeping cool, refocusing in between sessions. And you've got all these bits here. Like this is the race suit. This is the race suit of Nick Cassidy. That's the race suit of Sebastian Buemi. You've got all of their racing boots. You've got all of the spares and things for their helmets. Actually, do you want to bring the camera in a little bit more? You actually can see the helmets of these two racing drivers in here as well. These are actually both Nick Cassidy's. I think Seb's are still in the bag down here. You can see from the Swiss flag there, his Swiss driver, Sebastian Buemi. His two helmets there. Nick Cassidy's are here. Gloves, fireproof materials, socks, thermals, like fireproof thermals, all of this stuff that they have to wear. And now, first-hand look at it. How about that? That's exclusive, isn't it?
Fantastic.
He loves it. He loves it. Right. Let's head out back to the front of the garage and get some more of your questions answered, because actually, I want to just... God, actually quite heavy, these rear tyres.
There?
I
thought that was a cooler for a second.
I was going to say how heavy they are. They actually, the rear tyres are quite heavy. Do you want to have a go?
Sorry?
Have a go.
Oh, I'm okay.
I tried to pick up 4 once, and it didn't go well.
My shoulder.
Let's walk back through the garage here and go back out the front. So
look.
There is
look at the back.
of course, this sort of like workstation here with all these screens. And this is where the teams will sit during the sessions, and they'll be constantly communicating with the driver, all of the data, all of the reports coming back from the car, back from the driver, to try and make the car as efficient as possible. Because in case you don't know, that is kind of how Formula E works. How's this for a theory, or how's this for a concept? Imagine a racing series where the car does not have enough usable energy in it to begin with to finish the race.
That's terrible.
It makes you think that doesn't work. But then it becomes all about how smart you can be driving. How can you drive these cars as fast as possible, but use the energy in the most efficient way, using the team, using everybody else to help that process. The strategy, exactly. Energy management strategy. That's what Formula E is all about.
Also, aren't these like these version 3 cars, when they brake, they're using that resistance to recharge the batteries a little?
The regenerative energy, yeah. It's regen braking, we
That's
call
incredible.
it. The front motor is built just for that. Get this, man. This is going to blow your mind. 50%, almost 50%, I think it's about 46% of the energy you can use can be recouped from braking.
That's amazing.
You could recharge the battery, 46% of it, just by braking.
Better be some pretty strong brakes.
Zero waste. That's what we love it. We love it.
That's wonderful.
So let's go.
What's so great about that too is like that's going to go to commercial cars too. Like the technology developed here is then going to be issued out to everybody once these are a lot more prominent.
You said I was good at links. Now that is a good link, sir. That's very good. Yeah, the race to road, we call it, is amazing in Formula E, and actually the benefits and developments we see in road cars that we could all drive tomorrow is amazing. We're talking about like extra range, we're talking about more efficient powertrains, we're talking about better braking systems, better having the same regenerative braking system in our road cars that they have in these cars. I
can't believe the percentage was so high. It's like 50%.
Just think, imagine that in our road cars. We'd have to charge half as much.
Amazing.
Amazing, right? So good. Okay, let's go back to... Let's have a couple questions from the chat, and then we're going to go to the next live question. So, okay, so here we go.
Waiting so patiently.
Joanne has asked you, Aidan, how are you enjoying the UK weather? It's not particularly great at the moment.
Oh, it's been lovely for me so far.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I just flew in this morning, so I'm a little bit jet lagged. But the weather's been totally nice. But I like cold and damp. That agrees with me.
Okay. Okay, this is a question about music. Alyssa says, as a singer-songwriter, will you ever create a song that voices out the global warming planet issues we're facing today?
I've already written one, yeah.
Oh, great. So how much can you talk about that that process you're in at the moment? Because you've got quite an exciting...
Everything's written, I'm just recording it. I'm
Amazing.
doing it all myself.
I also heard a rumor that one of the producers you're working with is of someone who's worked on some pretty amazing things in the past.
Well, I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Okay, let's go to our next person online. Now, this is Sarah Louise, I believe, from London. Just going to check for the nod. Yeah. Sarah Louise, is that right? Oh, we've actually got Natalia. Oh, Natalia. Recognise that face from Twitter. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you, Saunders?
Very good, very good. Lovely to have you on the stream. I believe you might have a question.
Yes, I do.
Fire away.
So it's another climate question. With Europe recording yet another year, with Europe recording yet another summer of high temperatures, what can we as humans do to to help the race against climate change?
I missed the first part of the question.
So it was in connection to some of the higher temperatures and weather conditions we've seen, even in the UK and Europe. What can we do as humans to help that battle?
Relates to the temperature rise?
In climate change in general. I guess it's kind of a follow-up from a previous question.
I mean, just in terms of like the temperature-wise, that comes from the atmosphere thickening. So reducing CO2 is a big part of that. Mangrove trees absorb more CO2 than any other tree. And right now you can go to the Envision website and take a climate pledge for free. You can take as many pledges as you want. Envision will plant trees for free. Doesn't cost anything. And they're planting these amazing mangrove trees, which not only absorb so much carbon from the atmosphere, but they also protect the ecosystems where they're planted and are in general just amazing things to be planting. So the fact that, you guys are replanting a forest is an amazing opportunity. So I encourage everyone to go there, and that is one way that you can help fight the rising temperatures. But there's a lot of things we need to do.
If there's one thing I might add, if you don't mind, is
yeah, of course.
I think it's really important to look at climate change as a global issue. It's all too often it gets centralised to this country emits this amount, this country emits this amount, therefore this country is more responsible. That might be the case, but the issue is still global, right? So just let's say one country doesn't emit more than another country, doesn't mean they're less culpable or to change, to also set a precedent, right? Does that make sense?
Sorry, my ADD is going crazy because we got some music coming.
Yeah, it's kicking.
But yeah, it's the responsibility of every single person who lives in the house that's on fire to put out the fire. So, everyone should take part where they can. And also, don't beat yourself up about it if you can't be perfect or if you can only do so much. Like, just know that you've done something and do what you can to spread the word. And if everyone looks at it with that intent, legislation is going to have to do something. It's going to have to change. And that's going to make huge swings in fighting all the various crises.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Great question. Thank you. Nice to see you again. Enjoy the race weekend. And let's go to our next question, which I believe is it Diana? Oh, it's Sarah Louise. There we go. Sarah Louise from London. How are you?
Hi, I'm alright. Thank you. My question is, how do you think more people can help reduce energy whilst in their homes and outside during the summer?
Great.
With having the high temperature rises and just during the summers, really.
How can they reduce energy use?
Well, I mean, just on a personal level, what we'll do at our home is we'll often turn off lights and open the windows and sort of fill up a bucket with ice and water and use that to cool us off rather than really blasting the AC for a long period of time. And that works really well for me, just dipping in some cold water really quick. That's just me being really personable about what I like to do. But if you go to the Envision website, they'll walk you through what specifically you can do at your home to cut down on emissions.
I think one thing is the more you can learn or more you can be aware of energy use, it helps hugely. If you're just aware of areas where you might be using more than you potentially need to as people, I think it naturally makes you think, oh, actually, I probably don't need to have that on, or maybe I could have that. I'm actually going to give you one super secret thing that I use, which hopefully you can use. It's actually an app. This is very relevant for the UK, which I believe you're from the UK, aren't you? Yeah. Is that you can see at what point in the day where the energy is coming from for the UK, whether it's coming from wind turbines, whether it's coming from solar. So essentially, if you look at that and it says, so right now there's more energy coming from renewable than it's coming from anywhere else, I'll do my washing machine now, or I'll put all my energy-intensive things on now, because you know where it's coming from is from a cleaner place.
That's wonderful.
That's one little trick I do. It's an app you can download, just tells you exactly where energy is coming from. But there you go. Thanks for your question.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
What's the name of that app?
So the one in the UK is called National Grid Online.
National Grid Online.
Yeah, I'm sure each country has their own where you can monitor it, but it's
fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool. I get really geeky about it, won't I?
It sounds awesome. Yeah.
Okay, next question. Who have we got next, guys? Now, this is Natalia from Ukraine. Natalia, thank you very much for joining us.
I love your glasses.
Great glasses. What's your question?
question. Who do you imagine your life in 5 years?
Oh, where do you imagine your life will be in 5 years?
Oh boy. Well, I'm really passionate about music. I hope to have an album recorded, and I hope to get to meet up with... I do a lot of live streams. I meet up with people digitally a lot, and I would love to start seeing people in person. Also, 6 more wins under Envision's belt. That'd be awesome. Let's do that.
I like
Squeeze it in 5 years.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, thank you very much for your question. Who else can we go to next, guys? Now we've got Diana Cobra, also from Ukraine, I believe. Let's let that switch when that comes up. Give us 2 seconds.
Hi.
It's live, people. It's live.
Hi.
Oh, hello. There you are. How are you doing?
We can't see you, but we can hear your lovely voice.
Thank you. I'm surprised, shocked, and really excited about this event. So, Aidan, my question is, how do you stay optimistic and motivated despite the enormity of the climate crisis? What advice do you have for others who may feel overwhelmed by the issue?
Great question.
How did I realize the enormity?
How do you stay optimistic?
I pay attention to the optimistic people. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people do incredible things in terms of innovation. I've seen a lot of people who deeply care about it and who are who have a large platform who are really driving these messages. I see people all the time with such passion and such. They're out there doing it, so it makes me feel as if I'm not alone. And that's a big part of the sort of managing the whole climate anxiety thing, is like not feeling like it's just you up against this enormity that you're like, well, what can I do to change that? It's so big. But if you realize that you're part of a bigger world and people care and people are fighting and people are on a daily basis bringing in more people to the movement, educating them, and trying to change policy, like, it's a day-by-day process, but we're inching closer to getting things resolved. But sometimes we take steps back, sometimes we take steps forward. That's the nature of it. It's going to be tough, but you just got to look at people's passion and their expertise, and I think you will find that anxiety resolved at least a little bit. It helps me.
Well said. Well said. I mean, because eco-anxiety and climate anxiety is a real thing, isn't it? It's a real thing that...
I have it.
So do I. I had it this week, just looking at what's going on in Europe. But one thing, if I can add, just that might help in the same question, is that I find that there are plenty of resources out there which are just positive news stories every day. Yeah. About this subject. So where you've got the doom and gloom on one side, there are all small wins happening every day in certain, whether it's tech, whether it's in environmentalism. There's all these nice stories as well, which make you feel better about it. And also, I'm sure you agree with this, knowledge is power. The more you know about a subject, the more you can understand it and feel like you can see the solution.
Yeah. I just find like following, you just having continual reminders or going about your day with sort of outlook on how you can make a positive difference. Like, if you just stay in that headspace, you're consistently moving in a positive direction. So even if it's slow, over time it amasses to be a large difference. Like, I've heard from people who talk about things that I did years ago that I've forgot about. I just didn't realize, and it's had this domino effect in ways that I didn't even imagine. So if you just get out there and you do what you can do and you let people along your way, you let them know about what it is you're fighting for, it's just going to ripple. It's going to make a bigger change.
Well said, well said. Thank you very much again for your question. Now I think we're going to go to our next question, which I believe is from Eric Walters, who's a teacher from New York.
Ray.
Welcome, Eric.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. My students at Marymount School of New York asked me to ask you this question. Any suggestions on how our school could partner with the UN and Envision to affect meaningful change and sustainability?
You know, I'm really trying to get the whole Trees with Aidan thing to partner up with schools and, you know, get classrooms to take part in the climate pledge, seeing as it's just such an accessible thing to do. There are 12 different pledges, so depending on your lifestyle or what makes sense for your family, you go like, oh, this pledge would be really good, or if multiple ones do, it's super easy, it's free, and you have these mangrove trees being planted in Madagascar and other places, but that are making a positive difference. So that's where my focus is. That's what I would recommend doing, and I would love to find some way to get that initiative into classrooms, because you know, anyone can go online essentially and just make a climate pledge, and
Absolutely.
a tree will be planted with no cost to the individual. So it's incredible.
And in terms of that direct partnership, Envision and the UN, you've come to the right place, because there's an existing thing going on there. The Envision team are doing lots with the likes of the COP conferences as well. So yeah, just stay tuned to what's going on with the Envision Racing team via the social media channels, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities to get involved and maybe connect the school, which is great. But thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your question, Eric. Okay, so I believe we've got Giovanna Torres from Brazil. Giovanna, hello, how are you doing? Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. And my question is, what is the most important thing that happened to you to become who you are today?
So what's one of the most important things that's happened to you to make you who you are today?
To make me who I am today?
What's helped you become who you are?
Well, that one moment where I wanted to go surfing. That was a big part of it. I just watched a lot of documentaries around that period of time. That was mainly, I just had this surge of interest. And I think that had to do with like how connected I felt to nature, just being out there in the water so much, and where I used to live in LA, just we were surrounded by nature, and I would see it get hotter and hotter every year, and eventually we converted our lawn to a sort of a desert climate, so we stopped watering our lawn. We converted the front to have like rocks and cactus and stuff which didn't need water, because LA's a desert and it's been in a drought for a long time. So, you know, just I would say those were pretty formative years for me. And in terms of me being who I am today, like position-wise, just reposting about environmental messages and initiatives that people can do online via social media. That led to working with the UN and eventually Envision. So all of that's led up to this moment, and it's continuing. So.
Would you say, just to follow that, would you say that your exposure to nature within the environment that you grew up in was an instigator?
Well, it certainly was thought-provoking when I made the connection between land and sea. But yeah, just watching it get hotter and hotter, and like seeing all of these green lawns, but feeling the heat and feeling the sort of lack of humidity in the air. It's just like, this is not natural, and we're in a drought. What's going on here? Why aren't people talking about this? What can I do about it? Just, you know, and you know, the addictive nature of social media, you just get drawn in, sort of drawn into the environmental side of things. So
yeah, okay,
that had an influence.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you very much for your question, and thank you very much for all of your questions, everybody who's joined the stream and in the chat. We really appreciate it. It's been great to have you with us, to be able to show you this behind the scenes, all-exclusive access into the Envision Racing Garage. Now, thank you for joining. We will be, obviously, of course, be here for the remainder of the weekend, racing for this season finale. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. There is a big weekend of racing ahead of us.
Yes.
There is a teams and drivers championship to be won, potentially by this team.
Oh, for sure.
So, yeah, very exciting stuff. Thank you very much for being here and experiencing this amazing time.
So glad to be here.
Everybody
tune into the race.
Tune into the race. And just a final reminder that you can go make a pledge on the Envision Racing website. It's envisionracing.com/race against climate change. You can make your pledge there and start making a difference. So thanks very much for joining us, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.